clean her ears anymore. He's like, don't put anything in her ears. Just let it sit for 2 weeks. And then after that, if she's still shaking her head, call us. But they said this should wipe it out, whatever he did.
Yeah, Tom and I were talking about this earlier because my dog had an ear infection, and we're, in the process of doing a course of antibiotics and another pill that he takes so that he's not so itchy.
Yeah.
And it's working. But it's funny, the vet called me the other day and they were like, how's everything going? We're just checking in on you. And I was like, I think it's going pretty good. It seems to be fine. They said, well, is the ear still really pink on the inside? Because it's his white ear, because he's got like a brown ear and a white ear. And I said, yeah, it is pretty pink. And they were like, yeah, we might need to do the flushing thing. So you might need to bring him in. So, let us know in another week if the pink hasn't gone away. And I was like, man, all right, I'll be in. Hopefully it'll take care of itself, but I don't want it to come back either.
Well, yeah. And he said something about like, it's not too progressed, blah, 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 blah. And I have a feeling like if it had kept going, it probably could have got deeper in and then he would have had to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
So
yeah. When I say syringe also, it's like, it's not like a needle. It's just like it's more just a dropper type thing, but I got to kind of put it in my dog's ear and he does not like it.
No, they catch on. Like when I was cleaning her ear, when she started to get the shake, the little itch, it started to burn a little and she started to see me coming with the bottle and be like, no, I'm out.
Yeah. See ya. Right. Yeah.
It's funny. She wouldn't run. She would just get really interested in something on the other side of the house. Like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm really
no, I don't have time for you, Dad. I don't have time for you. I'm very, very busy.
No offense, but I'm going to the other room now. Bye.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Otis is just sort of like, because I try to do it right before he's about to get a treat. Mm-hmm. Or breakfast or something that he really wants, so we're kind of in a confined space and he's like, I know what you're doing. I don't like it. I'm still going to run.
Well, the other thing we did this weekend is we went to return some clothing that Eileen had bought where they were going to charge her $8 if she returned it through the mail. Like not even talking about postage, like a return fee. But they said, if you drop it off at one of our stores, then it won't cost you anything. We'll just give you your money back. And so she's like, well, fine. So we drove over to Pasadena, which is the closest store. And it was really hard to park. And she's like, this is weird. It's usually not quite this busy here. Turns out BTS was at the Rose Bowl Saturday night.
Yeah, because like Pasadena is like pretty easy to park in. Yeah.
My daughter loves them. I don't understand it.
I don't either.
And now she's faking Korean gibberish.
Really?
That's insulting, Roger.
No, like she
it's
literally
her gibberish.
It's her gibberish, but she's dying in a Korean
Korean gibberish.
It's Korean gibberish. Like no, it's an actual language people speak.
She's
not speaking
what she thinks she's hearing.
Yeah, she's speaking gibberish because she's imitating Korean, is what you're trying to say.
Sure.
Man, I could go for some Korean barbecue later.
Some japchae.
Mm-hmm.
Fried chicken.
All of it.
Not big in their fried chicken. I don't know what it is.
All I've had is hummus today, so it's time. You know what else it's time for?
Show.
No kidding. It really is. Oh my gosh.
It really is. I know. Came up so quick.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
BTS. Is that BTS or Blackpink? Actually, I don't remember.
Oh, I thought you were doing Matthew McConaughey.
I know.
That's three all rights.
And a cheeseburger with bacon in it.
Yeah. And a Chrysler or whatever.
No, it's a Lincoln.
Oh, Lincoln.
He's the perennial Uber spokesperson.
Apparently that advertisement not working well because I couldn't remember it either. All right, here we go in 3, 2, Rory Glynn has supported independent tech news directly for 5 years. Be like Rory. Why wouldn't you? Become a DTNS member right now at patreon.com/DTNS. This is the Daily Tech News for Monday, May 6, 2019 in Los Angeles. I'm Tom Merritt.
And from Studio Feline, I'm Sarah Lane.
And I'm the show's producer, Roger Chang.
Microsoft Build in full effect. We got Google I.O. coming tomorrow. Lots of things to talk about. Let's start with a few tech things you should know.
Ahead of I.O., Google announced a new version of Android Auto. That's before its I.O. developer conference, which does start tomorrow, as Tom mentioned, including a more dynamic, persistent navigation bar at the bottom of the user interface, and allowing some apps to take control over a section of the navigation bar for more granular control without requiring the driver to switch to the full app in question.
On May 3rd, Mozilla discovered that an expired intermediate signing certificate was causing Firefox extensions, themes, search engines, and language packs to stop working on Android and desktop versions of the browser. Mozilla published a workaround for developer and nightly builds of Firefox later on the 3rd with a hot fix rolling out. They had no time for hot flicks. They were busy working on this hot fix, rolling out to all desktop users on the 4th. The fix requires the most recent version of Firefox to be effective, so users of older versions still do not have access to extensions. So get yourself up to date. Let's talk a little bit more about Mark Gurman, who always knows what Apple's up to.
Let's talk about Mark Gurman, my friend and yours. Sources tell Bloomberg's Mark Gurman that Apple plans to announce at WWDC the App Store coming to Apple Watch, along with a calculator and a books app for audiobooks. Apple will also reportedly let developers bring iPad apps over to macOS, with Apple itself bringing over the podcast app, screen time, effects, and stickers for messages, and a merged Find My Phone and Find My Friends app. We've talked about that before in the past. iOS 13 will reportedly get a dark mode, a revamped health app with hearing, health, and menstrual cycle tracking options, an updated reminders app, and new features for screen time, which lets parents set time limits on specific contacts for children. Apple's supposedly also considering showing off a new Mac Pro and an HDR monitor at WWDC as well. So it might be kind of a big show.
Yeah, we should have said spoiler alert. Here's all the stuff at WWDC, because Gurman is pretty good at this stuff. Yeah. I think the most interesting to keep an eye on, and I will be watching at WWDC, is the watch stuff. I didn't mean to say I would be watching the watch stuff, but that's funny. The idea that I will have an app store, kind of like the way Android Wear works, or Wear OS works, so that I could just use a watch and not worry about having to manage it from a phone. The more independent smartwatches get, the better, I think.
You know, one of the funny things is the Find My iPhone, and Find My Friends merging idea. And we have talked about this in the past. Find My iPhone is something that I have definitely used in emergency situations where I was like, where is this phone? You know, like I just don't know where it is. You know, is it in my couch or did I leave it somewhere? And, you know, how can I get it back? Find My Friends used to be sort of this fun thing that I used with a handful of friends that I liked and trusted. And we've all kind of waned. I mean, I haven't opened that app in a really long time, even though I'm sure there's a few people on it. So I'd love to know what Apple is planning to do to kind of, I don't know. I assume that it wants more engagement, and that would be the reason to blend the two.
Or just be able to tout these features in their ads and stuff like that. Last time I used Find My Friend was when we both worked on Tech News Today, and I would use it to see how far out you were on the commute.
Right. And I don't even think we're on Find My Friends with each other anymore.
Probably not.
For no reason. Like I mean, you basically just see me sitting at home most of the time. But yeah, it's a cool feature that I wish I knew how to use it better, because for the most part, it just kind of.
You'll have a reason. The Financial Times reports that the EU is preparing to open an antitrust investigation into Apple's App Store practices following a complaint from Spotify in March. We've talked about this before as well. Spotify particularly complains about being forced to share subscription revenue with Apple at that 30% to 15% rate. Investigators have already surveyed customers, rivals, and others with plans to launch a formal probe in the next few weeks. If somehow Apple were found to have acted unlawfully or against the regulations, the EU could fine Apple up to 10% of its global revenue. As we know from Google, these things take years. So this complaint will take a while for the wheels to grind through. But short version is, I think Apple's fine to take 30%, 15%. What I don't think is okay is for Apple to forbid companies from using legal and secure payment processes inside their own apps that aren't Apple's. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Reuters reports that since April of 2018, Facebook has contracted with Wipro Limited, that's in India, to manually review images and text posts from Facebook users to label them for things like subject, occasion, author, intention, and 2 other dimensions in order to understand how the types of things users post on its service are changing over time. The data includes both public and private posts. Now, Wipro had about 260 people labeling a selection of content from the last 5 years, now has about 30 people labeling posts from the previous month. Facebook says it has about 200 content labeling projects overall. Legal and privacy teams must sign up on all labeling efforts, and an auditing system is used to check that privacy expectations are being followed by contracted companies. Facebook says labelers in Timisoara, Romania, and Manila in the Philippines are both involved in the same project.
Yeah, there's a little bit of frothing at the mouth about Facebook these days. We talk about that a lot. I'm not sure what all I get upset about here. There are couple of things, but the idea that Facebook is using my data to improve its own service shouldn't be controversial. Any company that I have given data to should be able to use it internally to improve its own service. Where Facebook falls down is people don't trust them to keep it internal, right? And we have proven situations where internal data did not stay internal. But if you took them at their word, which I know many of you won't, but if you did, I think they're following all the best practices here. At least they say they are. They're using private data, but they're only using it to label and improve models. And those models are meant to improve the services. And they're not sharing data with other companies that are advertising companies. What they're doing is sharing it with contract companies. And it shouldn't be against the rules for a company to hire a contractor to do something. It's just that contractor should follow the exact same privacy policies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think the big thing they fall down on here, Sarah, is that they don't make it clear that they do this, and they don't give you a chance to opt out of it.
No, that's exactly the issue that I have, and I know a lot of other people would share my sentiment, is that it's like, okay, Reuters is reporting this. Okay, I read the article. Nothing sounds too insane, but why is this not something that Facebook has said outright? Given that everybody is so, we have so much PTSD about, the idea that Facebook has so many of these business dealings going on behind the scenes, and then it comes out later, and then they have to apologize.
Yeah, and Thrumwald in our chat room says, so Facebook can see the things you post on Facebook. I think where it gets odd is when you bring in contractor companies like this company Wipro, and people go, well, so now you're sharing it with third parties. It's like, well, no, large companies are going to have to hire other companies to do things like labeling from time to time. I mean, Google has an entire arm that's just temps and contractors that isn't actually Google. That's fine. There just need to be some controls on that, and you should let me know I'm doing it. And I think it would just be good practice to give me the chance, as I already said, to opt out. If you want to get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, be sure to subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com. We got lots of news out of Microsoft Build. We're going to go through most of it here and spend a little time on the things we think are of most interest in our daily lives, just as consumers and users of stuff. A few new features are coming to the Chromium-based version of Edge, the browser, 3 new privacy settings: unrestricted, balanced, and strict. They all 3 affect tracking. Unrestricted just blocks malicious trackers. Otherwise, everything is fine. Balanced blocks trackers from a site that you've never visited before. But once you start visiting a site, they figure, oh, you've got a relationship with them. We'll let those trackers happen. And then strict just blocks all tracking altogether. That is not actually blocking ads, but it could have the effect of blocking ads. And there's an IE mode that opens sites in the Edge tab so you don't have to launch IE separately. It's a compatibility mode that runs the IE rendering engine within Edge. And that way, most of your workers in an enterprise who need to get to that one site that's optimized for IE on the intranet won't have to launch a separate browser and be taken out of the experience. It would just all happen inside Edge. A feature called Collections lets you collect text, images, and other info into a note that references back to the pages the info came from. So it's kind of like a copy-paste thing, but it's automatically including links and source material and citations.
Almost like an Evernote type thing.
Yeah, very much like an Evernote thing. The notes can be shared by email or exported into Word and Excel.
Huh. All right. Well, privacy settings, they make a lot of sense to me. I like the collections feature, at least in theory. Haven't used it because obviously it was just, but it's, these sorts of things, I always find that it requires a lot of discipline on the user's part to also be organized, because you can't just take a bunch of information and, expect it to, make a lot of sense later, but they can be very handy.
And it's our first indication now that Microsoft is not having to work on the entire rendering engine because they're using Chromium. What kinds of features Microsoft might be able to bring to Edge to differentiate it from other Chromium-powered browsers like Opera, Chrome, etc.
What do you think? I mean, of these announcements, for somebody who's like, I don't know, I use Chrome or I use Safari or Firefox or any of these other browsers. I mean, what jumps out at you as something that could make somebody jump over to?
Well, we only have these three. It's a little early to say, right? But the idea of having those nice privacy settings, the idea of having the collections thing intrigues me. I want to try it out myself. Problem is it's within the Microsoft universe. If I could put that into anything, then I'd be using it for the show. So yeah.
I guess maybe it's more for the people who are already in the ecosystem to say, oh, cool, my browser just got much better.
Maybe at this point. Well, but I expect to see more of these kind of features coming from Microsoft. Microsoft Word Online will get a feature called Ideas. It uses machine learning to suggest concise rewrites and inclusive language. It will give you estimated reading times and decode company acronyms using your company's Microsoft Graph. It can also extract key points to help readers summarize what you sent them. Idea also will come with Word Designer, which helps style things like tables for you. These features are coming to Office Insiders in June and everybody else this autumn.
Huh. I mean, my first reaction is, okay, a machine is going to help me construct, I don't know. I mean, how far does this go beyond what I am using in Gmail right now, where it's trying to finish my sentences?
I don't think it's
often correctly.
Yeah, no, this is saying, hey, we just saw you finished a sentence. If you rewrite it this way, it will be more concise. You can avoid the passive voice, and that sentence that's 15 words long will be 6 words long, and it'll be clearer. Those are the kinds of things it's saying it will be able to do.
Like an English teacher from high school all over again.
Like an editor, just to have an editor, because an English teacher is going to correct your grammar, and they already do that. I think of it as an editor who's like, great sentence, but if you wrote it this way, it's actually clear. And I think this could actually improve communication if it works. That's my question. Does it actually work as well as I want?
Exactly. Yeah. If it says, I have a suggestion to make your sentence better, and you say, okay, but your sentence was better, beforehand, then, that would be something to think about. But again, you can reject it if you want to. Pretty cool.
And that's the thing. If you constantly it's suggesting things and you're like, no, that's not better. Then you'll stop using it. And also, these sorts of things are subjective. So it may be that most people would agree that the suggestion is better, but the person gets all bent out of shape. Like, no, I meant to write it that way. That's what I wanted. And then they just stop.
Right.
It's all kinds of ways to pick it up. Microsoft's My Analytics will start tracking the number of days instead of the amount of time that you don't check email or work on documents outside of work hours. This is part of an industry-wide effort. It's not just at Microsoft to provide tools to encourage downtime, to help you with that work-life balance. Another new feature in My Analytics will let you set up focus time each week and alert your coworkers that, hey, during this time, don't set up a meeting. I'm trying to get things done. Knowing that they will not pay attention to that. There's also an AI plugin for Outlook that'll help reschedule your focus time if someone plops a meeting down in it anyway. And also help you find time to focus on particular to-do items. Like if it sees you have a to-do item, it's like, oh, that usually takes you a half hour, plug it in over here, etc. It's kind of cool. Good tool.
It's really cool. Initially I was sort of like, what's really the difference between days and cumulative time when it comes to this? But I think that for many of us, days is easier. It's an easier number to quantify. And I had a boss many years ago who was always like, you give yourself 1 hour a day to check email. You don't just check email throughout the day because, it's a multitasking thing that's it's a whole big fallacy. And whether or not he was right about it, I think that what Microsoft is doing is trying to kind of expand on that idea and help all of us who have a million things going on and are juggling and feel like we, can never get to the end of it, a little bit more structure.
Well, and also to stop at 5 o'clock if you're in a 9-to-5 job, right? To be able to say like, oh no, I have a goal to not check my email after hours, not even just multiple times through the day, but multiple times all my waking hours, trying to get people to stop doing that is a big push right now. Microsoft's AI assistant for coding, IntelliCode, is now generally available, supporting C# and XAML in Visual Studio and Java, JavaScript, TypeScript, and Python in Visual Studio Code. IntelliCode was trained on thousands of GitHub projects that all had at least 100 stars, so it's supposed to be able to make smarter code completion suggestions and take current code context into account. This is similar to products like Kite for Python, although Kite is only for Python. Microsoft announced the private view of Visual Studio Online based on the open source editor Visual Studio Code, with support for IntelliCode built into the online version. Microsoft is pitching it as a way to make tweaks or review your pull requests and such. It's not meant to be your main coding environment. It's sort of like, oh, I'm not at my desk. Can I check in on something? And yes, Azure DevOps used to be called Visual Studio Online, but that's all in the past now. Azure DevOps is called Azure DevOps, and Visual Studio Online now refers to this online editor. Fluid Framework is a web-based developer platform for building more shared and interactive services and apps. It includes support for co-authoring on the web. Your content can be modular, so it can be used across apps. You can integrate Cortana to translate text, pull in content from the web, suggest edits and other tasks. If you're like, wait, I don't quite get what this is. One example they showed was a translation implementation. So if one person was typing in a collaborative service, every other viewer of the document could see what they were typing in a different live translation into their own language. Another example was an editable table in Microsoft Teams, so that you could pull a table out of an app, put it in Teams, and still be able to edit it as if you were in the original app. Microsoft is making the Fluid Framework available to developers, and it'll be integrated into apps like Word, Microsoft Teams, Outlook, and other products, with the first SDK coming later this year.
Seems like that is a very good tool. I'm not sure when I'm going to be using Fluid Framework, but as somebody who, I collaborate with several people on a website regularly. Well, you and Roger, but I'm thinking of other instances as well where, that stuff has to be pretty seamless, or we're going to have an issue. But this is going beyond that. Live translation into other languages, particularly, very cool.
Yeah, if you're a developer out there and you're like, hey, I know what I'm going to use Fluid Framework for, send us an email. Feedback@dailynewsshow.com. We'd love to hear from you. Microsoft launched a new command line app for Windows called Windows Terminal, where you can access PowerShell and Windows Subsystem for Linux, a bunch of other things. They had some updates for WSL as well. Has multiple tabs, tearaway windows, full Unicode support. Unicode support means emojis in your terminal. Yes, emojis at the command line in Windows Terminal. Also has GPU accelerated text rendering that arrives mid-June. And Microsoft showed off Cortana's improved conversational skills and ability to understand context. One of the demonstrations focused on workers making meeting requests and such. So you could just say like, hey, do I have 3:00 open? And Cortana says yes. Then you can say, schedule my meeting then, without having to repeat 3:00 and all that stuff. Microsoft seems to think that businesses will one day want their own virtual assistant the way they have their own website. So now we kind of get an idea of what they're doing with Cortana. They're pitching it as not quite a white label service, but something that every enterprise could integrate in its own way, rather than a replacement for your Amazon Echo or Google Home. Microsoft making its new conversational engine available to developers through the company's bot framework, and it will be integrated into Cortana as well.
Yeah, we've had a lot of conversations as of late about what's going on with Cortana, and Microsoft seems to be, they thrown in the towel with this, and but work is remaining, and the idea that it could be truly a framework for, let's say, Daily Tech News Show decides we want our own virtual assistant or our own our smart assistant, and it's something that we could build on Cortana, but we could make our own, and imagine if there were 150 of us employees or 1,000 or, and so on. How interesting that could be to use as the basis of something that works specifically for your organization.
Yeah, I think Cortana is now a product that you can add into your suite, the way you would the way you would add any kind of library to your website, or any kind of, if you buy some chat service and integrate it on your website, is one way to think of it. A few other miscellaneous items from Build. Election Guard was pitched as a platform for handling voting data. It wouldn't replace the election platforms that exist. It would be a way to help audit them and make them more secure. Microsoft will open source the compiler and quantum simulators in Q#, its quantum computer development kit. There's a new Azure-based platform built on the acquisition of Bonsai to help developers train models for autonomous robots. So Microsoft trying to make sure that it's getting in on the robot building wave. And IoT, mapping, databases, storage, and analytics all got updates across Azure services. Finally, a video at the end of the keynote showed Minecraft in augmented reality running on a phone. And the teaser says that more information is coming May 17th, which is, of course, the 10-year anniversary of Minecraft. So it sounds like we'll be getting a little more information then about some AR Minecraft stuff from Microsoft.
So slow day at Build.
Yeah, just a quantum platform and Visual Studio Online and some AI in pretty much every product they announced, plus a whole new browser, but otherwise nothing.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, developers.
Maybe
next year.
Maybe tomorrow Google I/O will have at least one or two interesting announcements.
Oh, I bet it will.
By the way, we're kidding. This is a great day of Microsoft Build stuff. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
You don't hear it in our voices.
Yes. Yeah. If you didn't hear my facetiousness, that's exactly what it was. Thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddit. Build stories, Google I/O stories, and all sorts of other stories get floated up to the top and helps us build our show. So you guys are the best. You can submit stories and vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. We're also on Facebook. We got a group there, facebook.com/groups/dailytechnewsshow. All right, let's move on to Chris Christensen, our amateur traveler, who has some very good news, potentially for people who've ever had their luggage lost in flight or worry about it happening.
I'm both.
This is Chris Christensen from Amateur Traveler with another Tech in Travel Minute. I saw an article in Travel Weekly that had good news about lost luggage, and that is that technology seems to be helping getting your luggage where it belongs. So the number of bags that get lost over the last 10 years has averaged 5.7 bags per 1,000 passengers, which is an argument for using carry-on luggage. But we need to remember that that is with the number of passengers increasing. Just between 2016 and 2018, the number of airline passengers went up from 3.8 to 4.4 billion. And what they're finding is if they use technology to track the bags as they get transferred between aircraft, they can reduce the number of lost bags by as high as 66%. And so more technology is going in, which makes it more likely your bag will be on the baggage carousel. I'm Chris Christensen from Amateur Traveler.
That's one of the things I like about flying Delta. as they always give me the little like, hey, your bag just came off the airplane and it's headed towards the carousel, and this
Oh
is the
yeah,
carousel.
that is a good one.
Yeah.
Yes, having had a very frustrating travel experience with United on Friday,
Hmm.
I didn't have to check any luggage, so that wasn't a concern. But Delta sounds better and better every day.
Yeah, I mean, I like them till they mess with me, but so far they've been really good.
Right.
So yeah, they even we flew up to San Jose on Sunday, and they gave me, because I'm in their status program, they gave me a little upgrade seat for free. Honestly, I don't know, I'm just saying. Anyway, I like the tracking, the tagging of the bags, and other airlines besides Delta are doing that as well. Let's check out the mailbag.
Let's do it. Sean, the historian from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, says that yesterday he was visiting Lima, Peru. Sean says, I was reminded that even we friendly Canadians live in our own tech bubble. Walking along the street, I came across a massive lineup of people in orange t-shirts waiting patiently to get into a new store. It reminded me of the day that the iPhone 3G came out. This time, it was the grand opening of Xiaomi's first Mi store in Peru. I walked by the store 3 times over the course of the day, and the line was there all day long. People got free Mi store t-shirts and wristbands with their number to get into the store. Tech fandom looks quite different on this side of the equator. Thought I'd share this little tale from Lima. Love the show. P.S. Thank you, Amateur Traveler, for your recent episode on Peru.
Aw.
So helpful. Yeah.
Thank you, Sean. And you know what? Sean's in Toronto. I'm going to be headed to Toronto July 5th for the Marshall McLuhan Variety Hour podcast little get together. If you're a mmvh.ca fan, they've got the details up there now. So I'm looking forward to that. Maybe I'll see Sean up there. And very cool to get that on the scene report, because I don't think here in the US for sure, and maybe not in Canada either, the Xiaomi name really means what it does in areas of the world where it is one of the top selling brands. I mean, I know we always talk about how it's third, fourth, fifth in the worldwide selling, but that's without being in every market in a big way, without even being in US or Europe in a big way. That's pretty huge.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Sean. And thanks everybody who supports us on Patreon. We just put up our monthly post that tells everybody all the things that are coming up this month that we know about, includes some thank yous to folks, people for having their 5-year anniversaries of back in the show get listed in there. We always list the January 23rd Club, which are the people who've been supporting us continuously since the day we launched the Patreon. So please go get yourself updated on that at patreon.com/DTNS.
If you've got feedback for us, our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We're also reading your Patreon messages too, so keep those coming as well. We're live Monday through Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 2030 UTC. You can find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live.
Back tomorrow with Patrick Beja and Google I.O. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Good show.
Very good show. Nailed those build updates.
I like it. I find it annoying that Microsoft and Google are doing their developers conferences on the same week, but
that's what they do.
It is what they do.
They did this last year, right?
I thought, did they do this last year? You may be right.
I thought last year was
like
the first
1 week
year where we were like, oh my
apart.
God, it's the same day. Or, the keynotes were close to each other.
Mm-hmm. But that's why we didn't have a lot of other news that wasn't Microsoft today, because nobody else wants to announce anything when they know Microsoft and Google are going to be dominating the news cycles. So.
Of course.
We will get back to highlighting things that aren't the big five after a couple of days, but it's just the way the news crumbles.
The way the news crumbles.
Yes.
Well, it rumbles and crumbles, really.
We've secretly replaced their normal browser.
I love that one. That's a good one.
Good.
Yeah.
Be like Zoe. I mean, yes, be like Zoe, but I don't know that applies. Microsoft Word helps you be a better writer.
I like that one.
All my friends work
BioCow.
from home.
I'm just gonna vote for that.
IntelliCode inside.
Cortana's the new Clippy. Well, that's perhaps unfair to Cortana.
Yeah, I don't think that actually fits our assessment at all. Clippy didn't go into the enterprise and become a private label service.
Right, yeah.
Emojis in your terminal. Building on build. Take command of your emojis is pretty good too. BioCow's on a roll today. We've secretly replaced their normal browser, or Microsoft Word helps you be a more better writer.
I like that one, even though I'm not sure that was the overall highlight of the announcements today. It's just
for better writer.
More better writer.
And then we have Korean barbecue season as the Good Day Internet title.
Into it.
Yeah. I'm into Korean barbecue season all year round.
Yeah, it is a
I don't think it's
what's the name for perennial season? The season that never ends?
That's called a year.
Oh.
That's
What's
called
perennial
normality?
season then?
Yeah, no, a perennial is a plant that doesn't have a season.
Yeah, perennial. That's right.
So okay, yeah. Korean barbecue is my perennial season.
It's not a season. You just say it's my perennial.
It's your perennial dish.
Oh, okay. It's my perennial. Fine.
Sort of like my prerogative.
I can do what I want to do. And
you need to see a doctor
Korean
about
barbecue.
that. Doctor, my prerogative. It itches.
My doctor said
I will always not that it comes up that often, but I will always thank Bobby Brown for helping me spell the word prerogative. Because it isn't spelled the way that you think it will. Because PR is weird.
His song doesn't help me remember it. Was it because you kept seeing it written?
It's because because the song was so popular. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Okay,
I would see it on charts or whatever.
Because it's not like he distinctly sings, "It's my prerogative."
No, and he doesn't spell it out or anything.
Prerogative.
But I think it's just because it was such a big
you just
song
would see it everywhere.
That now I'm like, I'll never get that wrong.
All right,
yeah. I don't know. I probably had his cassette tape or something at the time.
Yeah, so Dave, the psychologist, one of the co-hosts of the Marshall McLuhan Variety Hour, actually text messaged me during the show, which means Dave wasn't watching, probably, to say that the roundtables that are it's just a bunch of really good podcasters are coming up July 5th through the 7th in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada.
Hamilton, the big H.
It's I used to go to this more formal convention called Podcasters Across Borders in Ottawa. And I just loved the sort of laid back attitude and the Canadian podcasting scene. So I've been wanting to recapture that since they don't do it anymore. And it does seem like a lot of those people have moved over to the MMVH roundtable. So I'm going to head up there this year and hang out with Anthony Marco and Dave Broadbeck. And if you're in the Toronto area, you should go check it out.
Is Hamilton like a suburb?
Yeah. It's just outside of Toronto, like 30 minutes from the airport.
Such a cool city, man. I've only been there once. Amber Mack and I, she graciously had me be part of one of her events a couple of years ago. I'd never been to Toronto before. And I wasn't there for long enough to be able to say like, okay, I've got the lay of the land at all because it's really big. But I liked it. I really liked it.
I've never spent any time in Toronto. I've been through the airport, but I've been to Montreal. I've been to Ottawa. Like I've been all around.
Toronto is different. It's I don't know. I wouldn't want to offend anybody by making comparisons I shouldn't make, but I felt like it was closer to Chicago than pretty much anywhere else that I've been. People say, "Oh, it's like New York." I didn't feel that way. But I felt like it was a lot like Chicago, and in the best way possible.
Well, it's right near Detroit, so it's got
I mean, you're northern Midwest, really. Yeah. But
Montreal
good food, multicultural. Like
Vancouver is a very West Coast city. It feels like
Yes.
Seattle and a little
Yes.
bit like San Francisco and Portland.
Yes.
Montreal feels like its own thing. Like it's Quebec,
Right.
right? There's
Yeah.
nothing else like it in North America.
Yes.
But I can see where Toronto might feel like Chicago because it's part of that region.
Yeah, just a lot of like, I don't know, just it was friendly, interesting architecture, very varied.
A lot of people eat sausages and talking about the bears.
Well,
perhaps
probably talking about the leaves, right?
The Argonauts.
Leaves? The leaves?
The leaves.
The leaves. I don't know. I'm not good at this, but no, it was. I actually no. There was It's funny. There was a guy that I met there at the convention that I was at who gave me a really good. Like the next day, I knew I would have 5 hours or so to kill before I had to get on my plane, and I didn't have to do any work. And he gave me a recommendation to go to this sort of like kind of hole in the wall diner that was like not where I was staying at all, but it wasn't going to be that far of an Uber ride, and Uber's plentiful there. And it was so fun. I was just kind of there by myself, at 8 a.m. eating shrimp and grits or whatever I was eating.
Shrimp and grits.
At this, it was sort of a Southern themed brunch place, but it was just cool, and I knew that I was in an area of town that I never would have gone in without the recommendation, which is just my favorite thing to do ever.
To just show up somewhere?
Yeah. Someone's like, just go to this address, you'll like it. And it's off the beaten path. And I did like it. It was really cool. And I got a better sense of the city because I got out of, because I was kind of in the convention center area of town where I was staying, and sometimes you go to cities and that's all you see and they all look the same to you. But there is a lot more to it.
Well, I have news on the pea milk beat.
Uh-oh.
And
it came up on It's a Thing with Molly Wood on Friday because she was bringing up oat milk.
Oat milk, right? Also a fan.
Yeah, so we were talking about oat
because of Otis,
like,
of course. He loves it.
Thing, we were having a talk, and I was like, "What about pea milk?" She was not aware of the the immensity that is pea milk. And so I was like, "Oh, Sarah Lane is the one who introduced me to the idea on Good Day Internet." So we talked a little bit about pea milk, and she was fascinated. She's like, "Oh my gosh, this is great." We have had so many emails to think about pea milk.
Really?
Yeah, like dozens.
Like people asking you about it or saying
like,
I like it.
Yes,
or
pea milk. My wife drinks it. I drink it. I learned about it this place. Like,
yeah. I mean, Ripple is the company that I use. That I use. That's the company where I'm getting my like pea milk half and half from, just because it's stocked at my local health food store. But there are other brands.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Yeah,
but that's the big one. But yeah, no, it's a. Wait, also, when you look at the nutritional content, in the breakdown and the vitamins and the whole thing, you're like, this is amazing. We should be pounding this instead of water, because there's no sugar and there's so many vitamins, and it's like, what's wrong with it? I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop.
But you need water. Why is water bad?
Well, no, I mean, water's not bad. I'm just saying, we always talk about how we need to be like more hydrated, right? And this is a thing that like, I wouldn't pound a glass of milk to be hydrated. I wouldn't do that, but I might do this.
I hasten to want to add, sorry, Roger, I'll let you go in a second, but I just want to make sure people know we're talking about milk made from pea protein, the vegetable pea.
Yes,
okay,
right.
Go ahead.
Yes, not
no, I was just saying the hydrated more. That's like, I was reading something about like there's this there's some confusion about people and hydration. Like hydration is important, but some people are just overhydrating. They're just drinking water when they don't need to.
Yeah.
And the rule of thumb is if you're thirsty, you need to be hydrated. If you're not thirsty, you don't need to be hydrated.
I blame debate classes around the world for causing overhydration, because like every debate class I've ever heard of has had someone present why you should drink more water as like one of their exercises. Like It's the speech class go-to for so many people.
I mean,
And I think,
I agree that yes, your body for the most part will tell you when you're thirsty, and then you can quench your thirst with a glass of water, and it kind of goes away. But like people also underhydrate, and then they get leg cramps and all sorts of weird stuff.
yeah, I think
I
Roger's
think
right. Like,
you have to
if
almost
you're
like drink
thirsty,
water before
don't
you get
put it
thirsty.
off, drink, but also don't let yourself get thirsty, like where you're burning and
Right. Well, and also it's like if you have to hydrate anyway, going back to the pea milk, I'm like, I just want all this protein and vitamins. Like that sounds awesome.
I'm very suspicious of that because it's the same thing that Gatorade was doing. It's like when you're thirsty, don't just drink water, drink a Gatorade. It's like no.
but I think what Sarah's saying is
electrolytes also have
something.
their place.
Yeah, right.
You're not wanting to you shouldn't be pounding Gatorade all day every day, but it has its time.
Just
sometimes
remember
where I feel like
the
super
ads,
depleted
people
after
are
a long
sweating
run.
the various colors of the flavors they have. Oh, look, he got punch. He's sweating punch. Unless he got punched in the face, then that's something else.
I mean, but you're just talking about commercial stuff.
But okay, what do you drink, Roger, besides water?
I drink mostly water. 90%
What do
of
you
what
drink besides water?
I drink cherry juice, and that's because I have gout.
Nothing else. You never drink a soda.
Nah.
You never drink juice. You never drink
that cherry juice is the
drink
only juice
coffee.
I drink. Nope.
This is a lie because you tell me all the time, like, "Oh, I had this soda the other day," and I was really
I don't.
upset.
I had one soda, and that was Jen's. That's the only time I drink soda.
And I've seen you drinking soda at my house when you come over to produce Tech Republic videos.
That was the one time. The past 4 times.
I've said
no. Actually, no. The last time I was there, I asked for a glass of ice. Remember? And that's what I sucked on was ice.
And Tom just forced you into drinking the soda instead.
Can you imagine if Tom was like a soda
he was
dealer?
Like, here's this ice with a Diet Coke.
All right. Well, my point in asking you that wasn't to have you just show how pure you are on drinking, but to say sometimes people get tired of drinking water and they want to drink something that has flavor. And I think that's even true of Roger sometimes. Right. And so when you want to drink something that's not just water, you should have an alternative that has some flavor, but also doesn't carry a lot of negative side effects with it.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I would drink if I didn't think it was probably bad for me, I would drink half and half, in an 8-ounce glass.
Wait, half and half? You would drink half and half?
If I know it's weird, but I like the taste of it, but I don't do that because it's weird.
It's like drinking heavy cream.
But the pea milk is sort of all of the negative effects that half and half might give me, lactose stuff, and we'll leave it at that. Doesn't have it. Doesn't have any sugar. So it tastes good in the same way that I like half and half. Yes, I like creamy milk.
Do you like Thai iced tea? Or you like a Thai iced tea?
I do, but I don't drink it because there's way too much caffeine in it. And I'm usually eating Thai food at night, and I would just be up for the next 72 hours.
So I
like the taste of it.
I'm going to take this conversation 90 degrees to the left, or right, depending on which way you're standing.
Right.
So I just found out yesterday that the reason why there's so many Thai restaurants is because the Thai government actively pushes them out. Like it's their form of diplomacy. They get.
It's true.
It's what?
Is this true? When you say I heard, where did you?
Well, I read it on. Granted, it was Vox, but I read it. And it was a whole thing about how they use
Vox is fair. That's
they use it as a form of diplomacy. And so, for example, for every Thai person of Thai descent that lives in the U.S., there's 54. There's 54 of them for every Thai restaurant. Comparatively, for every Mexican restaurant, there's roughly 600 Americans of Mexican descent. So there's a skewed ratio, and that's because the Thai government actively solicits and pushes. It's like, hey, do you want to start a restaurant in so and so? It's not just the U.S; it's around the world. So do you want to start a country, whatever country? We'll send you out there, and we'll give you some money to start.
It feels like a hype story, though, even from Vox. I don't see an over-representation of Thai restaurants. I'm not wow.
It's over-representation for the typically when you have an
I have
ethnic
never
restaurant,
walked around going, man, why are there so many Thai restaurants? It doesn't seem like there should be. Like I've never felt that way.
It's a cuisine you might see more than others, but
Well,
I
it's
I
more
might say the
than
same
what
thing
would-
about Indian.
it's more than what you would have as for example, Chinese restaurants. You would have a specific ratio of Chinese restaurants to number of people of Chinese descent, whether they're here.
Why are there so many Mexican restaurants?
Well, there's a lot of Mexicans in the U.S.
I don't think that's it. I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think it's because people like Mexican food. It's not based on the number of people. It's based on like people like the food.
All right, I'm just gonna put it up.
I don't know. Feels fishy to me. Like maybe.
Well, it's because you tried the fish sauce. Fish sauce.
You know what I mean? Like it feels like.
By the way, how do we all feel about fish sauce? Because I am pro fish sauce.
I love fish sauce. I love oyster sauce.
Love it. And some people are like, "Oh man, like you cook with that in your house and the smell and it's awful and whatever."
No,
it's like
I'm fine with fish sauce.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you don't put it on everything.
All right, so it's not Vice.
There's certain.
So it's oh no, it is Vice, but it's not Vox. I apologize.
It's Vice.
Oh, Vice.
Okay, that makes more sense to me because Vice does like to have a little tiny bit of sensationalism.
Mm-hmm.
So if they could find some convenient stats that made a story, they would definitely massage them.
I will massage this into anyone who else is still watching. So they didn't have a chart, but yeah, read up on it.
So what's true about it is that the Thai country has done some promotion to get a lot of Thai restaurants out there, right?
Yes, they have an act,
and we all benefit.
No, yeah, it's not a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
No, certainly.
It's an active part of the government.
It's the premise of like, why are there so many Thai restaurants? That I'm like, no one's ever said that. Like, why would? That's not a thing, is it?
Well, I don't know.
I mean, in certain cities, I do feel like you might say, "Gosh, there's a big Thai community here because there are a lot of Thai restaurants," and I really like Thai food, so not a problem for me. But I've definitely thought that in San Francisco in the past, not so much in LA, but we're more spread out anyway. But I wouldn't say that about Mexican restaurants simply because Mexico is right around the corner. So maybe that has a little bit.
We have a lot of Mexican restaurants in places that don't have people of Mexican descent living.
Sure, of course.
Because people like Mexican food. So it's perfectly legitimate to think like, oh, there were some Thai restaurants in some areas where Thai people lived. And then suddenly everybody's like, oh, this is really good food. Let's have more Thai restaurants.
Yeah.
And then they would be in places that didn't have.
Well, I got to write this down for the
supply and
description.
demand.
Tom dismisses.
Maybe I'll have Thai food tonight.
It's the summary.
I was thinking Korean barbecue, but now I might go Thai. I got a great Thai food place right down the street. Oh, delightful.
There's a great one actually around the corner for me called Tie Me Up.
Tie Me Up.
See, okay, now what I like about this Vice story is it says, you may have noticed, not we all talk about.
Right.
All right, Tom. I'm going to take you to a Thai restaurant. All of them. We'll do an entire podcast. Tie me to the chair.
What is everybody's favorite Thai food dish? Like, what's your go-to?
Drunken noodles.
Mine is always green curry chicken.
Drunken noodles. There's something about
green curry prawns, but definitely green curry something.
There's something about the term drunken that really excites me. I don't know why.
So, yeah, because they're just they're suffering in their own
aspects of this. The part is that the Thai government set up a company to sort of train and fund people to start Thai restaurants, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. They never got a McDonald's of Thai food though. But they did get a lot of people to start Thai restaurants. All right.
But when you say like, is that even a positive? If someone says you're the McDonald's of,
you're the Starbucks of.
No, I feel like it's Starbucks, maybe not so much, but I feel like when you say the McDonald's of, it means you're like bottom of the barrel.
We're just meaning like they wanted to have a pervasive chain of Thai restaurants that made them mega popular. Doesn't mean quality. You're the McDonald's of, in this case, means you are a successful piece of world culture now because there are McDonald's restaurants.
You're the
everywhere.
McDonald's of podcasts, like a billion served.
So drunken noodles, Roger. I mean, I feel like that's different depending on the Thai restaurant that you're in, because it just means that it's in sauce, right? Or does it imply that it's always the same sauce?
I'm just hoping the chef is drunk when they make it and they're just throwing ingredients together like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah, I like a green curry. I'll do pad thai. Maybe maybe not.
I went to
pad see-ew. Like the pad see-ew.
Have you ever had the pumpkin? Like I guess it's squash, but pumpkin curry.
Yeah.
It's really good. And then there was this place down in San Mateo, like the city of San Mateo, not the county of San Mateo, right over by the Caltrain tracks. And they did this amazing coconut rice that they would serve along time. Like not just aromatic, but like you could taste the coconut.
Didn't you're not you say coconut, you didn't like coconut though?
I don't like dried coconut on like the stuff they use on candies, but I like fresh coconut.
Yeah.
So I think so I'm looking at the Drunken Noodles Wikipedia, and they have no real idea why it's called Drunken Noodles because it's not made with rice wine or anything. But they suspect like, oh, maybe it was somebody who came home drunk and just wanted to make something.
I just feel like it sounds like it's noodles they're wet.
I think it's similar to hangover soup.
What's
hangover
that?
soup is a thing in Korea where you have a hangover, you drink the hangover soup to help you get over your hangover.
What's in it? What helps?
I don't know. You have to look up hangover soup. I don't know.
Something that is,
But Drunken Noodles kind of strikes me as that of like, I was drunk, and so I ate some noodles to sober me up, or because I had a hangover the next day.
Oh. I never thought of it that way. I always thought of it as like noodles just being in a broth or something.
I hadn't thought of it that way until I was reading this article, but it's not really in a broth. So,
well, not a soup broth, but a sauce.
Liquid, something.
Yeah,
exactly.
Any soup eaten as a hangover cure.
That's hangover soup. Way to go. Thanks a lot, everybody.
It consists of dried Napa cabbage, vegetables, meat, and a hearty beef broth.
Yeah. So, but it can be any soup you're eating as a hangover cure.
I'm going to eat soon anyway. So hungry.
I am too. I don't know if I'm going to do Thai food tonight.
You can do the Korean.
The problem with, the Thai food place, I really do have one that's a block away from me and it's really good. But I make myself not eat there more than once a week, and I eat there on Saturday. So, you just gotta, sometimes I'm like, Sarah, you gotta cook your own meal. You can't just always order food from, the place where somebody makes good food. You gotta learn how to make your own food.
I had bibimbap yesterday.
Was it good?
So good. You let the rice get all crispy on the side of the pot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you made it?
No. The way they serve it in the hot stone bowl.
And
so you just let it sit for a little bit so the rice gets all crispy on the side. And then you mix it up.
That sounds really good.
That's really good.
It's
Roger, you were so distracting with your tales that we forgot to
say goodbye to the video folks.
Video folks.
Thanks, folks.
Audio folks, stick around. There's more to come.